That song was just fun to play, and they still the new Marshall Tucker band or the current lineup, they still do that a lot. It was just fun to stretch out on, and we had Charlie Daniels played fiddle on that, and Andy Stein also played fiddle on it. You can hear Andy Stein is part of the Prairie Home Companion Orchestra. He's playing the fiddle on that, and I don't know who all
was this one take. Do you remember?
Most of it. Well, I do remember overdubbing the fiddle part.
I was going to say, did Marshall Tucker, did they do most of their stuff live in studio, or did you do a lot of overdubbing?
Actually, the first album, which was just titled simply the Marshall Tucker Band, they had all the material ready. They'd been playing these songs probably all of their adult life, and they came in and pretty much played it live, and then I added keyboards to it after the fact. But then they pretty much had a hit right out of the barrel, and so they toured all the time, and they didn't have time to take off and write and work the songs up for the future album. So, you know, Toy would write them, and Toy Caldwell, he wrote most of their material, and so by the time it came around for us to do a new album, the rest of the band had never even heard the new material, and we said, well, I'd asked Toy, I said, well, have y'all been working up any new songs? Said, no, we hadn't had time to work up any songs, but I got them in my head. And so we wound up in the studio, and he'd sit around with acoustic guitar, and he'd play them for me. And I said, all right, Paul. Paul Riddle was the drummer. And I said, give me a backbeat over there. And he'd play along, and Toy would sing a scratch vocal, you know, and a dummy vocal. And put down the acoustic guitar, and then we'd add a bass to it, and then we'd take that guitar off, add another one, and that didn't seem to work. We'd take that off, and maybe the bass wasn't working. We'd replace everything, and after a while, then it's time for Doug Gray to do his, you know, he was the lead singer. He would of course, he didn't know the tune either, so we'd feed him Toy Caldwell's voice, original voice. He'd be hearing that in his headphone, and he'd sing along with it, and that became his vocal. And I mean, it's a crazy way to make records, but it worked.
It worked. It was definitely good.
The term Southern rock, because, you know, it's like all the other bands that around here today, we all play a lot. We play country music, and any repertoire of any band, you'll hear country tunes, you'll hear rock and roll tunes, blues songs, jazz, and when you play, you have a sort of a little potpourri of all these tunes added together. And that's what we all played back then. And so the Hourglass, we had this same kind of mixed up, if you will, kind of brand of music we were playing, and we carried it to the West Coast, and there was nobody doing that out there, and they didn't quite know how to handle what we were doing. And so we years later, when we were in Macon, the Allman Brothers Band carried the Hourglass repertoire of tunes into their band. That's the way they started off. You know, you don't start from day one with with 30 new songs for a set. You do all the stuff you've been playing all along. So we had been doing Stormy Monday Blues, Estate Spirit Blues, a lot of things that you think about the Allman Brothers Band doing, but we were doing that in Hourglass.
Now, were you a member of Hourglass?
Yes.
Okay, who else was in there? For the people that don't know, we talk about Hourglass like we know, you know, everybody knows, but there are a lot of people that don't know Allman Brothers, pre-Allman Brothers.
About early 1967 is we had the Minutes in group, and we had shortened it from the 5 minutes to the Minutes because we were down to 4 pieces, and Eddie Hinton was kind of our front man, lead singer, and he decided he was tired of the road, and he always wanted to be a session guitar player. He wanted to do studio work, and he decided to leave the road, leave the band, and so there we were with, you know, 3 of us guys and no lead singer, and we were scrounging around trying to figure out what to do next, and Dwayne called me out of the blue, and he said, Paul, he says, how'd you like to have me and Greg in your band? Well, it wasn't my band, but that's the way he phrased it, and so
wow.
I had to ponder that probably at least 10 or 20 seconds, and I said, well, you know, of course. And so the Almond Joys had just broken up, probably within the same 2-week period that the Minutes had broken up, and so it was just perfect for Dwayne and Greg to step right in with us 3 guys, and we rehearsed in the Johnny Sandlin's garage, his parents' garage, in Decatur for about 2 weeks, and brushed up what Almond Joy songs they had and what Minute songs we could bring forth. got enough to do a 4-hour club set, and we went to St. Louis and played the Gaslight Square. There was a club called Pepe's, just a great place to play. And this was in 1967, in probably April, maybe May. And it's a long way to go for this story, but I don't know if you can tell it shortly. It's a lifetime career we're talking about. Anyway, we were playing there, and the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band came to St. Louis on their first tour. They were promoting a new hit record they had. Their manager, Bill McEwen, was with them, and they wandered into the club the night we were playing, and McEwen was floored with the group. He heard one set, said a few words to us, went straight to a payphone. We didn't have cell phones in. Called all the shakers and movers in Los Angeles and told them he just discovered the next Rolling Stones. So he stayed around and heard us finish off the night. Sat around and says, if you guys will move to LA, I'd like to be your manager, and I'll guarantee you a record deal. And so he'd already called, and talked to the record people. And so a month later, June, I guess of 1967, we found our way trucking across the desert to LA.